Have you ever gotten the feeling that your house was trying to tell you something?
Whether it's a visual clue, a cold breeze, or an increase in your utilities bill, your house may be sending you signals that it needs help.
Today on PowerHouse, we'll look at all the evidence through a whole house audit and solve a mystery.
We'll identify a common culprit that crops up in many houses and look at how to prevent it from causing major damage.
We'll also upgrade a few items for efficiency and comfort.
It's time to listen to what this house has to say. That's next on PowerHouse.
Pete?
Shh! I'm listening.
To the house?
That's right, Megan, to the house. This home has a secret, and looking and listening is the way to figure it out.
Well, I can't wait. But maybe we should get another interpreter.
You're absolutely right. Let's meet Dan McGuire from Comfort Solutions. Dan is a specialist in the language of houses. Dan, thanks for being with us. Now, you and your team were called by the homeowner for some help. What were some of the initial issues that you found?
Yeah, so we were called by the homeowner because they were having a water issue. There was some water that was showing up in the drywall, and so we thought it was storm-related damage.
Off the roof?
Off the roof. There was a little bit of drywall tape kind of coming apart. There was obviously a moisture issue that was happening. And so we came to investigate that and to see what we needed to do to mediate the issue for them. On further discussion with the homeowner, there was a little bit of comfort issue happening in a back bedroom upstairs. So those were kind of the two reasons we came.
So you really turned into a house detective. What did you do in the process?
Yeah, so when we came originally to investigate the issue for the homeowner, we did a whole home energy audit. The whole home energy audit is kind of thinking of the home as a system, and then also the interview process with the homeowner, seeing if there's anything that is relatable. Sometimes problems can have, some overlap with the issues. So we did blower door testing with some thermography with a FLIR infrared camera, as well as some duct testing. We initially thought that the issue was related to just a roof issue. There was also, the homeowner was talking about a comfort issue with the back bedroom. And so we also wanted to diagnose that at the same time for them. And so through the whole home energy audit, what we ended up finding out was that the water damage was more than just from a leak in the roof. There was actually some issues with the cavity of this.
And we're here on the second floor, and you've got this opened up, so talk to a little bit of what you found.
Yeah, so when we came, we went up to the attic to deduce where the water leak was starting, and then we also, with the infrared camera, we noticed that there was some issues with this wall cavity, especially up here. It was showing up on the camera very well. And then so as we went through, what we ended up finding out was that there was a large hole through the top plate, which was allowing some cold air to come down into this cavity, and then this is also the exhaust vent for the dryer here. So you have some warm, humid air coming out of here. And then when those two would mix, depending on the outside pressure, the wind or air would be pushed into here. And when it was cold, it would condense, which was just a great area for mold to grow.
Yeah, you had that environment for mold. We're on a second floor laundry room, so that's where this moisture and the heat and all this was coming from, right?
Yes, and this was something that had been added onto the home. So we were kind of already looking at this area a little bit, but the initial reason was some of what we were seeing in the drywall, and then the infrared thermography mixed with the blower door. It really helped it stand out.
That whole house energy audit really, it's a great tool that you have to use for homeowners to really zero in, be that detective to find out where issues are at, right?
Yeah, definitely. Though your house is a system. You have a lot of different things going there: windows, envelope, HVAC systems, exhaust venting systems. So when we do the whole home energy audit, a lot of times we're just making sure that we're getting on top of the issue, because an issue that seems very specific, related to one area, might actually be from multiple different areas coming together.
Now, I'm sure you see it all different issues, but is it very common where you think it's just going to be one issue, you do your whole energy audit, and it opens up a caveat of other things, right?
That is exactly what I found with the whole home energy audit. When you go to look at an issue and you go right to what you think is going to be happening, that's not always the cause. This home, for example, what we thought was mainly the main issue for the comfort in the bedroom with some insulation, with some typical construction practices, actually wasn't the issue. It was done really well, and it actually was some other issues happening.
So that energy audit actually showed some positives that were existing with the house.
It did show some good positives.
And so that, again, you didn't think, okay, insulation oftentimes can be the answer to fix something, but that wasn't the case here.
Yeah, not with this home. There was some areas that need a little more insulation, but there was also some other things we needed to do.
So that detective role, Dan, I mean, you not only just listen to the homeowner, I mean, you're listening around the house in terms of what might be symptomatic problems.
Definitely, I would say the tools we use are what we're using to listen to the house, to understand how it's operating, maybe where these issues are occurring from. And then the interview with the homeowner. They're here every day living here, so they're gonna tell you some valuable information. So we just kind of listen to the both of them and try to put it together and see where we end up.
Well, Dan, fascinating. Thanks for taking us along in terms of your detective work. And if you'd like to learn more about the importance and benefits of a whole house energy audit, visit our website at powerhousetv.com.
Here's a good reason to listen to your home when it comes to insulation. The EPA estimates that homeowners can save an average of 15% on heating and cooling costs, or an average of 11% on total energy costs, by air sealing their homes and adding insulation in attics, floors over crawl spaces, and accessible basement rim joists. So now that we know the issues with this home, it's time to get started fixing them. At the start of this investigation, all evidence was pointing toward a leak of some kind, either from the outside through the roof or possibly a pipe dripping somewhere. The homeowners were stumped, but they quickly discovered that whatever the cause, the result was mold, and it needed to be taken care of. Chris Johnson from Service Master has lots of experience in mold removal, mitigation, and prevention. He and his crew examined the problem and came up with an assessment.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would classify this one as a 3. There wasn't a lot of square footage affected, but it was sporadic in 3 different areas of the home. So we were able to set up 3 different chambers in order to get the small square footage that was affected. We had the laundry room, and on the back side of the laundry room we had a spare bedroom, and then across the hallway from the other bedroom was another spare bedroom. From what we were told and what we found up in the attic, it looks like when derecho hit, the amount of pressure in the attic separated the dryer vent pipe and the PVC pipe venting through the roof. And so that was adding moisture into the attic cavity, which caused microbial growth in the wall cavity between the bathroom and the bedroom, and microbial growth in the attic as well.
The power of a windstorm caused the initial damage, but the bigger issue definitely became the atmosphere for microbial growth it created. The problem and the scope were now identified, but as Chris tells us, there's a very particular order in which steps are taken to fix the issue. This ensures it's done in a safe way and reduces the impact on the rest of the house, and more importantly, the people who live here.
Upon initial inspection, we saw the damage to the home. We wrote a scope of work as far as an estimate to what was needed to be done. Basically, a lot of mold jobs, the prep is longer than the actual work that needs to be done because we have to put floor protection, containment barriers. We set a dehumidifier, air scrubber with a HEPA filter in it, and then we create negative air so all the contaminants go out and doesn't cross-contaminate the rest of the home. So once all the containment is set, then they would get their appropriate PPE on, and then we would start cutting the affected wall. And once we find it, we generally go 2 feet past where we don't see it anymore so that we know that we have it. And once that's done, we would tear the affected area out, and then we would HEPA vac the area, and then we spray an antimicrobial. And if it's really bad, we'd come back the next day and possibly seal any stained type of wood or damaged structural materials. Basically, the spores, they grow in the very humidic, dark atmosphere, and from what we're seeing from the storm and just any other type of accident that may happen in the home, it just needs that high humidity to feed off those spores. And a lot of people don't know it until they're doing a house inspection or they take a piece of baseboard off. But a lot of people will have medical issues as far as their breathing or burning of the eyes, itching, trouble sleeping. We get a lot of that.
While this problem wasn't as extensive as some, it still had the potential to impact the health and well-being of the homeowners and their family members. It took about a 3-day time frame for Chris and his team to safely remove the impacted wall and attic materials and mitigate the growth of the mold. Then it's time for reconstruction.
So once our job is done as far as mitigation goes, then the reconstruction process starts. So they'll want to get a contractor in here that does drywall, paint, insulation, electrical if that was affected, new baseboard, and sometimes if it gets into the carpet, we remove the pad. If mold is on the carpet, we do recommend removing all the carpet, but once again, it just depends on how far the mold had gone.
The hard truth about mold is that once the spores are present, it's virtually impossible to eliminate them completely. Observation and diligence are a homeowner's best defense when keeping mold at bay, as well as reaching out for help when you need it.
Generally, what we recommend is when we're completed with the job, it'd be a good idea to have a hygienist come and do like a post-test to make sure that we got all of the contaminants out of the rooms affected. Some people go that route, and some people just have us come back in 2 to 3 months and we just do an on-site inspection. The average cost, that's a very tough question to answer because every job is so different. It basically has a lot to do with how many rooms are affected, square footage, what's the severity of the damage. It's just, I've done jobs from 1,000 all the way up to 6 figures, depending on how much damage there is to the house. So it's hard to pinpoint that. For customers that are looking for people like us to do quality work, I would recommend they check the Better Business Bureau. In our industry, we use the IICRC, which is a governing body that we have all our technicians take classes and we're licensed to do, whether it's water, fire, or mold mitigation. That's what I would start with first.
Having professionals help you will give you peace of mind and help keep your family safe. Don't let a hidden problem in your home jeopardize your health or the integrity of your structure. Now that you know more about mold, check out our additional information on improving the air quality in your home on our website at PowerHouseTV.com. We're glad to have Dan of Comfort Solutions back with us, and we're going to be talking about some of the work that's been completed as a result of this home energy audit, specifically leaking ductwork and insufficient insulation. Thanks for being here with us. Let's talk about leaking ducts. What is your process for tracking those down?
So there's a couple ways we can do it. And mainly what we did for this home was we tested the duct system and we found out how much leakage was in it. Or another way we did it was we measured the total flow of the system and then we measured what the output was, and the difference was the leakage.
What were your findings and how did you solve the problem?
What we found was that there was significant duct leakage within the home, within their duct system. And so what we did is we went around and we sealed up the system for them, and we measured it a couple ways to make sure that was happening. And then we went through and we used several duct sealing methods to seal up the ductwork. What we found was that there was quite a bit of ductwork in unconditioned space, and that was a majority of the issue.
So noted, well-sealed ductwork is really the key to energy efficiency.
Yeah, key to energy efficiency, comfort in the home, system working well, all of that.
Now, aside from the ductwork, I understand there were a lot of other air leak issues in general. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, definitely. Part of our process for the whole home energy audit was that we found some other issues within the home, mainly related around air leakage into exterior walls, unconditioned spaces. So we found some with the main electrical panel. There was a large leak coming in from that, from the main wires coming into the house. We found some more leakage in the attic space, the drywall, and where the penetrations through the drywall were. So the ceiling fans, the supply registers, all of those, the bath fans, they all had leakage in them, and that showed up on our infrared camera using a blower door test.
I would imagine that every little leak adds up, and then you have a real problem.
Yes, a lot of little leaks can become a very large leak.
Well, let's talk about the insulation issue or lack of insulation. What kind of symptoms were the homeowners experiencing?
So the number one symptom was that there was some water damage, some water leakage showing up that we thought was related to a roof leak. It actually ended up not being the case. The other thing that was the indicator was there was a cold room, a comfort complaint from a back bedroom within the home. And so what we did is we went through to investigate the insulation and how that space was built. What we ended up finding out was there was some lack of insulation in the attic, but we also actually found out that some of the knee walls were built very well and they were insulated very well as well.
Now, does that happen over time? Is there a settling of insulation?
Yeah, there can be a little bit of settling. I think from what we saw is it appeared to be maybe some maintenance was done. Maybe it was put in a little low from the beginning, mainly because the home is 25 years old, and so it just doesn't have the same standard level of insulation as a new construction home. And then also there was people that were making fixes, tracking through it. There was a little bit of an addition, so that
Got
most
it.
likely was
How did
it.
you remedy it? What kind of insulation did you recommend and install, and how much?
Yeah, so we did 2 types of insulation. We actually used some closed-cell spray foam on the knee wall because it's more appropriate for that type of framing assembly. And then in the attic, we just added in more insulation to get them the typical R50 of every home. So we did blown fiberglass insulation.
So what are your goals for the results of this audit for the homeowners as far as the upgrades that have been made?
We have a couple goals. The first goal is always to fix the problem, make sure that it's not going to happen again, especially make sure mold, things like that aren't going to happen, water issues from condensation. The second one is to make sure that the homeowner is happy and that they're comfortable. And the third one is always to increase the efficiency of their home and reduce their bills.
Well, you know what? I think efficiency is the name of the game, right? Thanks for your expertise. You know, a whole home energy audit might be exactly what your home is asking for. Think about if it's right for you.
The primary culprit in this home improvement mystery turned out to be moisture. Moisture from a dryer vent compromised some of the insulation and a bit of the drywall, and that resulted in a mold issue that had to be corrected. In any home, the main source for too much moisture in our air can be our bathrooms. Steamy showers and running faucets can't help but generate humidity that can then be a challenge to remove. One improvement recommended for this home is an upgraded vent fan in this bathroom. Here to install that for us and talk about vent fan selection is Kevin Kalupa, a licensed electrician. And Kevin, welcome. Talk to us about selecting the right bathroom vent for this space.
You want to make sure that you have a large enough vent fan for your room, and also how much sound you want to make.
Okay. In that regard, Kevin, I imagine there's a lot of different varieties. And you mentioned sound, and there's been, what, a great improvement in terms of vent fans in that area.
Yes, the older fans, they were around 4 sones. They were very loud. Now you can get them down to a half a sone, and they're very quiet, and you don't even know that they're running. And that's what the customer usually wants.
So first thing you come in here, you're going to do some measurements.
Yes, I will get the square feet, and I will select the appropriate size of fan.
One of the big issues I know for this homeowner was moisture. Talk to us a little bit about vent fan and removing moisture from an area.
You want to get all the humid air out of your house after your shower or bath as quickly as possible. The last thing we want is to force this humid air into our attic space. There are some fans today that have previously been installed that are just vented into the attic space, and they're creating mold or mildew.
Just moving that moisture from one area in the house to another area, that's not good, right?
No. Here we have a roof cap already installed to get it out of the house, out of the attic space.
Talk to us a little bit about the different brands that are available in terms of bathroom vent fans.
Well, they do a lot of things now. They have fans with lights, night lights, heaters, Bluetooth speakers. You can get about anything, even antibacterial.
Amazing in terms of the improvements that they made here. I know for this particular homeowner, one of the things they were interested was putting a timer on their vent fan. Talk to us about that.
Yes, another problem with bath fans is either they're not running long enough or they're running too long. If you run it too long, you're getting your heat or cooled air removed from the house when you don't want it to be. You want it to run a minimum of about an hour, and usually people aren't in their bathrooms that long.
So that's where that timer really comes into play.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about the installation here. As you come in here, what will you be doing, Kevin?
I've previously measured the square footage of this room, so in that you'll calculate that, the size of the fan, and how much air you want to move. The next thing I would do is I'm going to get in the attic and find a spot to where it misses all the ceiling rafters and move the insulation out of the way so we're not losing any of that.
How about selection here in the bathroom, positioning that? Is there a better spot than others?
Yes, you want to get it as close to your humidity source as possible. So closer to your shower or your bathtub would be ideal, but not into it.
And here you'll have a timer on the wall, or you'll be installing that?
Yes, we'll be installing a timer here, and it has a smart sense technology in it as well, where it will sense an increase of humidity change, and it will turn on by itself and run for a pre-selected amount of time.
And cost-wise, runs, I know we were talking a little bit of the gamut, right? So give us that range.
Yes, you can buy a timer that costs somewhere in the range of $40 and get one up to about $80, $90.
Okay, and that's good insight.
And that's the same with the ceiling fans as well. You can get a very inexpensive ceiling fan for $40 that is 4 zones. The one we're installing here today is about $80, and you can buy them all the way up to $200-300.
Well, Kevin, I know the homeowners appreciated your insight and what you brought in terms of installing the new vent fan here in this bathroom. And again, little changes can make big impacts in your home. And if you'd like more information about simple upgrades to improve the energy output in your house, visit our website at powerhousetv.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode of PowerHouse Detective.
We really listened to this house and discovered an unexpected villain.
Our investigative whole house audit turned up clues to solve energy stealing mysteries.
We engaged knowledgeable professionals to tune up the whole house system.
And we upgraded efficiency, air quality, and comfort with some modest changes and improvements.
Visit PowerHouseTV.com for additional tips and information on protecting your house so it can protect you. It's always good to give a listen to your own powerhouse.